enough of those riddly things.
We have lived here for 25 years nearly.
We came down really on holiday to begin with, and we just loved the place.
What do you think of initially?
Allotment.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, well, it is actually their back garden. But
How?
David loves to grow, so that's why it's predominantly taken over by veg beds.
Well, it's
Fruit and
nicely
veg.
structured, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got a good little system going there.
He loves growing veg, and I love eating it. I mean, before I met David, the only beans I would have was baked beans.
And I like to grow things that you can't get in shops, like purple cauliflowers.
Purple carrots, and all the old varieties.
There's nothing like fresh veg out the garden.
And also at the moment, Joyce feels like she doesn't have her space.
I can kind of agree with that.
Yeah, it's very much David's domain.
It's a back garden, but we do sit out here, so I'd like it a little bit prettier. It's mainly a vegetable garden here.
Yeah, it's a vegetable garden. I can appreciate Joyce wanting somewhere a bit cool to sit or a bit shady to sit, because you get the sun from just before lunch till it sets.
What, are we changing the veg, or...?
Well, so they say that the garden is taking up about roughly 60% allotment at the moment. David, generous man, he's willing to reduce that to 50.
So they both
Marriage is all about compromise, isn't it?
There's a lot going on, isn't there? So don't let it feel too separate.
Not allotment pretty.
No.
Get them together in the garden.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Unfortunately, due to David's failing health, even the veg isn't getting the tender, loving care it's used to.
It's a mess. Normally, the bed would be full of veg of various sorts, but I just have not been able to do it. But if I just bend over slightly, after about 10 minutes, my back starts to ache like mad. And I can't walk very well with this knee.
I just thought, you know, if you could have raised beds and just a lot less maintenance than what we have at the moment, it would just help us so much more.
How much is the budget?
So, £3,000.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's not a huge budget.
No, but it doesn't look like a huge garden.
Overall, it's just got to be a lot easier to maintain. And then there's area for both David and for Joyce as well.
And then a bit where they both sit together.
Yeah. Enjoy a nice cup of tea, watching the veggies grow.
So, to find out how to please both David and Joyce, the designers head to Gloucester.
Go up, straight in on the greenhouse.
Yeah, nice. Obviously gardeners.
Got some plants here for us already.
It's a bit of a
Really
slope.
nice here. Push it down there. I'll get it on a second.
I know that looks
there's
a bit tricky. And the
yeah,
steps.
they're slightly annoying. It's quite a drop. If you come up right up here,
Surprising, isn't it, actually? Hard to see from the photos.
but loads of veg.
It looks like an allotment, doesn't it, rather than a garden? I
Yeah.
think maybe that's the battle, is it? See, they've got the raised beds here, but they're not actually good for the back. I feel like they're there just to hold the soil in. So I think we can make it a little bit easier for them to maintain.
The gravel looks pretty well kept, quite minimal, but actually at the back of the garden, you can start to see that maybe it's getting a little bit much to maintain, can't you?
And the sun early in the morning, so it's going to be sunny.
Yeah. Good for veggies. That's why it's got so many.
Yeah. I mean, look at those cabbages.
Right, you stay here and name some plants.
Broad beans,
We're
not
going to
a
go
black
look in the
fly
front garden for some
inside.
more inspiration.
She's not listening.
No, I'm not listening.
She won't miss us.
Oh, I like this.
Check out the irises straight
No.
off.
Well, they clearly love their plants, because this is a filled front garden. There's a lovely kind of cottage vibe going here. So I think, you know, let's give her a lovely spot. And there's some nice, colourful plants. We don't have to be afraid of colour.
Oh, that's exciting, isn't it?
Hello, Joyce.
Hello,
David.
Charlie.
Hello.
I have to say, the front garden is very, dare I say, girly-girly, pretty. And the back garden is very boyish, allotment-ish, very practical.
Yes, well, that was Joyce's, this is mine.
Right. But we're doing this bit of the garden, aren't
Yeah.
we? So, David, are you happy about Joyce encroaching onto your veggie area?
A little bit. I'd like just to keep as many areas for growing vegetables as I can, raised beds, because I can't bend very well.
Well, we are straight into the kitchen.
Well, heart to any home.
Do you know what? I feel like this will be the busiest room in this house. All those veggies being grown out there, they have to be prepped in here, don't they?
Yeah, I did speak to him. He said somewhere in here he's got his store of chutneys, homemade.
Has he really? Oh, I imagine there's some rhubarb there. Is it rhubarb chutneys?
There it is.
Oh, fantastic.
That's like a legendary amount of jams and chutneys, isn't it?
It is. Do you know what I love about that cupboard? Is the fact that it's very systematic. It's very easy to locate what you're looking for. So I think with the garden, we need to keep it well thought out, but not over-cluttered.
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
Nice, and that's actually a June 17. That's a fantastic year for rhubarb.
Is it really?
Yeah, so shall I go find some cheese?
Find some cheese, I'll have a look in the next room.
Sounds perfect.
So when it comes to the garden design then, want to keep as much veg as possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely want some shade in the garden. Slope is a bit of an issue,
Yes.
is it? Getting up and down.
Yes, and I'm a bit wobbly at times.
Right,
so-
aren't we all? Aren't we all? So it would make it a bit easier if it was maybe levelled out a bit,
Yeah.
you know.
That's right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, nice dining room. Again, it feels like everything's nice and orderly, like the kitchen cupboard. Everything seems to have its place here, which is quite nice. Not over-cluttered. Hello. Oh, hello.
You fancy a drink?
Ooh, what to go with our rhubarb chutney?
Oh, yes.
I'd love some.
Fine 17 port.
Yeah, that'll do perfectly.
Great year also.
It is. It's nice to see this area, though, isn't it? I mean, not many people have like a designated bar area in their house.
I know, it's lovely.
So when it comes to the garden design then, low maintenance,
Yeah.
raised veg beds, shade, somewhere to perch and sit down quite happily,
Yeah.
and maybe some colour in there. Yes.
Having shared all their information, the designers get drawing. Each will come up with a plan for David and Joyce's shared garden that works within the budget. The couple will choose their favourite, and whichever designer loses will help the winner build the garden. The £3,000 budget will be spent on materials, while Charlie and the Rich Brothers, along with their team of landscapers, provide the labour for free. Back in Gloucester, it's time for the pitch.
Joyce, David.
Hello.
Right.
Hello. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Nice, excited?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Very dying to see what it's going to be like.
So this is our design. So we know that at the moment you love the produce side of the garden.
Yes.
It's giving you exactly what you need, but you're just missing that idea that you can sit out, you can really enjoy spending time in your back garden. So we wanted to retain this whole left-hand side for produce. So it looks like we've reduced the beds quite considerably, but actually what we've done is we've reduced it to 3, but with their slightly bigger beds, and they'll be raised up double height as well. But one idea we had was to actually have a raised bed right in the corner as well, take advantage of that vertical space. You can always climb things up. So this whole area stays as your mini allotment.
It's your domain, that area.
Exactly.
The brothers have played it canny, keeping David's allotment central to their design. What are Charlie's plans for his prized vegetables?
Vegetable-wise, I've made the bottom raised bed bigger, and I've raised these veg beds up. So if you come out your back door, that's what you're going to see just here, with a bench in between. So somewhere to sit
All right, yes.
on the patio, but also, David, when you're doing your raised beds, somewhere for you to perch on the other side. This bit here are raised beds as well. Now, who gets to plant those up? It's up to you. Could be vegetables.
It would probably be
Or
me.
it could be, it could be pretty fruit. So I've popped in a couple of dwarf fruit trees.
Oh, lovely.
So both designs keep David's veg area in the bottom left corner of the garden and give him a more manageable space. But what about a place for Joyce?
So then, Joyce, the other side of the garden then is this kind of lovely cottage courtyard that we wanted to create. We wanted to define it with a hedge so that, you know, there's 2 sides to this garden. Obviously, you're both allowed in both sides when invited. But this area is all about being very natural, so we want to be able to thread that into the back garden so that you feel you have your space where you can potter and you can spend time.
Harry and David have given half the garden over to Joyce. How much of David's precious allotment has Charlie claimed back from him?
All you've really lost are those 2 veg beds there. But I think I've given them back to you there. But I would like to put some pretty flowers in, maybe on this side, on the patio side. Okay. So then you come down to this focal point here, which is a nice arrangement of flower pots. And then this retaining wall is actually timbers organ piped. One, it will add a little bit of texture to the garden, but also as you're going down the steps, it's quite handy to have something just to balance yourself as you come down these steps. And then you get to this area down here. This is all planted up with perennials that are easy to look after and shrubs, so things like lavender and El Camilla. So this area here will be very shady.
Charlie's not just given Joyce space, she's also given her shade from the all-day sun. What about the brothers?
We also want to introduce some small shrubs and trees into the garden as well, because I know that you like to sit in shade, and, you know, when it's a real hot day, there's actually nothing nicer than being able to relax without being baked. So this area is going to be very sympathetic, and it's actually going to help to block out the views of the houses this side, so that when you're down within this space, it's going to feel very intimate, very cosy, and you can keep a good eye on Dave when he's growing his vegetables.
Yes, that's what I like doing, sit and watching.
I missed that bit.
So the brothers have matched Charlie for shade. But what else have our designers got up their sleeves?
This bit here is a raised bed that's sort of not as high as this, but not as low as this, so it sort of splits the difference, and there's a screen across there so that we can grow lots of climbers up it, which will screen off the utility area.
So within the garden, we tried to think of a few things. We wanted to encourage the birds into the garden itself. A little spot there for a table and chair, so that's a nice comfortable space. You can have lunch outside if it's a lovely hot summer's day, or just enjoy a cup of tea.
See you in a bit.
I will leave you contemplating.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
With the pitches over, David and Joyce face a tough decision. They can only select one garden.
Right, if we start with the Rich Brothers, the one thing I like about this most of all is the fact that the veg is in one place. It's not scattered around all over the place like it is at the moment. And you've got a separate seating area there.
If we have friends over, we could sit in the garden, which we've never really done before.
You know the 50-50 bit? We basically split the garden about there.
Yeah.
And then this is the garden.
Yeah, that's my bit for Joyce,
Yeah, and then you've got your produce
Raised
there.
beds there, 3.
We've got a little area to sit amongst the raised beds as well.
So
before.
have I.
What?
I've got raised beds up here. I did say with the extra raised beds up there that David and Joyce could debate whether it's veg or whether it's
Cut flowers.
flowers.
Oh, nice.
He said these could be either flowers or veg. And she was looking at me saying, well, it could be flowers, Joyce. But of course you would want the veg.
Well, that is the veg bit.
You know, there's only 2 of us, and look how much we give away to start with.
True. But I just enjoy growing it.
How did you tackle the shade?
I put some trees in.
Very sensible.
Yeah, but I brought them into the garden, so I've got one about
Oh, you
there.
didn't put the trees outside the garden?
I didn't put them along the edge.
Oh, why would you do that?
I brought them into the garden, so this makes this a very intimate, shady seating area.
With Charlie's designs, I do like the pots and everything. But there again, there's not as many trees along.
No, you've actually got the trees in the garden in that one where there's only sort of the one tree there.
I think the trees are really nice.
It'll also attract the birds. It is a very difficult decision to make.
Both designs hit the brief, but which will David and Joyce go for? It's time to find out.
Hello.
Hello. Well, it's taken us a while and it was very, very difficult to decide. But we've chosen...
Oh,
well done.
Nice.
Fantastic. Oh, well, thank you very much. What was it about our garden that you liked?
Well, we've never actually had anywhere to sit.
I just like the idea of just having the veg at this side and a different thing rather than sort of bits of veg here, there and everywhere and all over the place. It's a bit more compact as far as I can see.
Yeah.
Quite uniform, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Just to make things easier for me in my decrepit state.
I'm sure it will make life much easier for
And
you.
I can sit and watch them do all the work.
That's right, you mentioned that a couple of times.
It's a great result for the Rich Brothers, but they'll need Charlie's help to create the perfect combination of easy maintenance allotment and relaxing pretty garden. It's the day of the build in Gloucester, and an early start for the landscaping team. Andy, project manager Paul, Lee and Steve.
I have the plan. Come on, Steve. I've got the plan.
Quick, take the high ground.
Over the beach. Right, here we go.
What have we got?
So what they're trying to do is emulate what's here already, but make it actually usable for David. So loads of veg beds, get them a bit higher, because I think he's got a bit of a poorly back and a few dodgy knees, so that'll help him. And then we've got another area for Joyce, so she's got an area down here, like a sunken terrace, I suppose. That's the posh way of saying it, isn't it? So there's going to be a fair bit of digging out.
So this is like the allotment side?
Yeah.
And then kind of the chill out.
Yeah, Joyce can basically sit there and watch David planting his vegetables, doing all the hard work, you know. Happy?
Yeah, I think so. We just need a digger, I'll be even happier then.
Is he here? I'm here. Oh, he's here.
Lee and Steve begin by dismantling the old veg beds, whilst Andy marks out the area for Joyce's new sunken patio. Excavating it calls for more than just manpower.
How close are we?
No, you're all right.
Are we?
And as usual, it's a tight squeeze.
Yeah, you're in.
With the digger in, the old gravel is removed. The flagstones come up. And Carpenter Lee starts work on the raised beds. The Rich Brothers plan divides the garden into 2 different levels. But shifting all that earth has tired Andy out.
So what's going on here, Andy?
Right,
it looks
Paul.
like you've got a massive hole.
I'm having a rest, mate. My poor little arms have been like butterfly wings all morning.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
Out.
Yeah, I think that's deep enough, isn't it, look?
Yeah, it's pretty level.
Yeah. We're down to clay.
It's good ground. We'll get some type 1 on that.
So it's on to Lee, isn't it?
Sleepers.
Sleepers.
Whilst Lee constructs a wooden wall to edge the sunken terrace, Andy fills the first veg bed. And a hardcore foundation for the patio is laid.
Well, that's the base down. Lee's put the sleeper retainer in. I'm going to start screening the sand out. I think these levels are going to work really well in this garden.
Meanwhile, Steve gets to work on the frames for the remaining veg beds.
Stand clear. I'm just checking that I've got the right depth of sharp sand. And about sort of 25 to 40 mil, really. Tomato.
The sand for the patio is levelled. And the rest of the raised beds are installed.
That'll do. That looks pretty level.
Just needs a knock, doesn't it?
Perfect.
To complete Joyce's sunken courtyard, the team begin to lay £300 worth of concrete bricks. Things are shaping up, just as well as Charlie and the Rich Brothers are on their way.
Fun packed day today.
I think so. It's going to be great fun. Charlie, you're going to be on the vegetables.
Oh, OK, I can cope with that.
So you're actually going to be putting in some mature veg so he doesn't miss out on the growing season.
Fantastic, that's going to be nice. I like it there.
Well, we can't forget Joyce in this. Me and Dave are going to concentrate on the kind of patio area. Got a lovely space, little courtyard, some trees and plants around there. Nice little cottage vibe. But we're also going to be creating some little benches, some beautiful bits of timber.
Oh, wow, look at this.
Wow, it's a big change.
It doesn't look like an allotment anymore.
I know. Well, you've got your raised beds ready, so...
Look at that soil. I'm going to enjoy the planting.
You're going the wrong way.
For Joyce, down here now, she's got her very own courtyard. It's going to be surrounded by some beautiful plants, some trees, creating a lovely bit of dapple shade and a bit of height and privacy.
Yeah, it is going to be a wonderful space for her. And then from Joyce's area, we step up into David's area. So we've given him 3 really large, really substantial veg beds. It's really accessible, it's easy to maintain. It'll be fantastic for him. one of which is taking advantage of what would be quite a negative corner in the garden. Utilising that corner to grow veg has opened up this entire space here.
So we're going to position a lovely bench so he can enjoy a nice cup of tea after a hard day's toil. And Joyce will be over there, which is probably where we need to be right now.
It is.
These veg are absolutely gorgeous. Runner beans, almost full size. Definitely got the best plants, me.
The Rich Brothers design gives David 3 easy-to-maintain veg beds. And Charlie's getting to work on his new plot.
These veg beds are fantastic. I have to say, I think David has actually got even more vegetable space than he had before. And the great thing is, they are actually raised. Before, he just had, like, timber edging them. Great to perch on, so you can work at them sitting down. Now, when it comes to vegetable beds, it's all about preparation, preparation, preparation. So you want to sort of enrich the soil. Because you're making the veg grow a lot and produce a lot, they need a lot of food, so fertiliser and also good garden compost, which I'm glad to say David has got loads of. It means that it will hold on to a lot more moisture and it will also help hold on to the nutrients. Now, these beds are 1 metre by 4 metres, and the instructions on the fertiliser said 75 grams per square metre, so that's 150 to 300 grams. 300! And then all I need to do is make sure I sort of evenly distribute it over the area, and then sort of work it in a bit. Do read the instructions, because vegetables are much hungrier plants. You apply a stronger rate, whereas with the shrubs and trees, you apply it at 50 grams a square metre. If we have a really lovely long summer, you can get vegetables going right the way through until sort of the first frosts. And of course, then you've got your winter vegetables, the leeks and everything like that.
Harry and David's design has a cottage garden feel for Joyce, centred around a large patio.
We're using this concrete-formed pavia, and it's got lots of positives. First of all is its appearance. En masse, I think it looks very beautiful. And being quite small, it means it's very versatile. You can create lovely detailed shapes with it.
It's really simple to lay. Now, it's all about just placing the bricks down, and that's what makes it so simple. They just fit together. Just slot them in, almost too fast.
Quite satisfying, isn't it?
It is quite satisfying. This is going to be a fantastic, long-lasting surface for David and Joyce. Now, this area looks beautiful, but we want it to have a little bit more of an old cottage character. So what we're going to do is we're just taking out some pockets of bricks. We'll dig this away, we'll put in soil, and it just means we can put in a few plants.
Hold on, what are you doing?
We're getting too carried away.
You spent all that time putting it down, now you're taking it back up.
I know, hey, it's madness, isn't it?
Softening it.
OK.
There's always room for more plants.
Yeah, it's going to look lovely. Not as lovely as my veg beds, though.
Keen to kickstart David's harvest, the Rich Brothers have invested just under £250 on fully fledged veg.
Nice and sunny for the courgettes. Do you like my cucumber?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's outdoor cucumber.
Does that mean you've got to meet them outside?
You're a real comedian.
Tried to be.
These are really cool because they don't get as big. Because cucumbers, normally you've got to have them inside, but this variety's been grown for outside. They don't get as big, but they taste absolutely fantastic, and no picking it off. Get on with your paving or whatever you're doing.
Get them planted then.
That's the thing with raised vegetable gardens. You can actually make them look really pretty as well. Not just productive, but pretty.
Whilst Charlie's busy with David's vegetables, the Rich Brothers are adding the finishing touches to Joyce's cottage garden patio.
So that's all the bricks laid down. So now it's time to pour out the kiln-dried sand.
Fine sand is brushed into the cracks.
That's it, scatter it about, I'll get whackering. Right, I'm going to go for it.
and agitated into the gaps to lock the paving stones in place.
He's moving too fast! Chase him, gonna chase him. Look at that!
With David and Andy hard at work, Harry helps Charlie out with the raised beds.
Well, Chaz, I think we've lucked out with the quality of these
Plants,
veggies, haven't
they're
we?
fantastic. I don't think David is going to believe that you've managed to get these amazing veg.
I know.
Now tomatoes.
Yeah.
Now this one's
that?
well, it's great. It's an outdoor tomato, so you know they like the sunshine. So if we have a rubbish English summer, then you might get problems. But
lovely sunny garden,
this is a really sunny garden. So I'm thinking of these down there.
Lovely.
And did I see some sweet corn? Because I was thinking the sweet corn in that back corner there to add some height. They are fantastic, aren't they? They really are architectural. I mean, not only do you get produce, but they look amazing, and you do look like you should have a straw hat on and you look like a farmer in America. You dressed right to match the vegetable.
Love it. These corns are going to look great at the back of the garden because they're going to help to screen the fence. Now, all the vegetables in this garden are heritage. Using heritage varieties means that you can grow different and more exciting vegetables. Now here, I've got some corns that are dusty, dark orange and black. And I think sometimes you can add an ornamental value to your veg beds just by going and planting something a bit different. We all love eating fresh, homegrown vegetables. And not only has David got beautiful varieties, but he's going to have the sweetest tasting crops.
Alongside the corn, Charlie's going for pumpkins.
I'm just putting a couple of screws in here because this pumpkin, as you can see, is huge and it'll take up a lot of space. And yes, David could leave it to like tumble all over this area, but in actual fact, by tying it in and growing it along the fence, it keeps the pumpkins up off the soil. He might need to give them a bit of extra support, but also it covers up the fence line, so it looks pretty as well as being practical.
With the veg beds coming on nicely, Steve and Andy set to work widening the paths and decreasing the number of steps to make the garden more accessible. And the Rich brothers are concentrating on a little surprise for Joyce and David.
Where do you want it, Dave? Just down
I
here?
think just by here. First we've got to drain out the whiskey, haven't we?
You don't need to do that, Dave. I've already done that.
Why are the barrows so wobbly? Now, when we were looking around the house, we noticed that David and Joyce had their very own bar, which is quite cool, wasn't it?
Very cool.
So we thought, what's a fun way that we can get that into the garden? So what we've done is we managed to pick up these old whiskey barrels.
For only £35?
For only £35, it's incredible. And you can still smell the whiskey on them as well, which is quite interesting.
It means we can make something beautiful out of it. The idea is to create 2 chairs.
Meanwhile, Chippy Lee is also fashioning some seating. Whilst working on a bench for David's veg area, he's knocked up a little extra.
Hi, Charlie. Boys out there busy making their seats, so I thought I'd make one for David. So what I've done is use some offcuts of wood into the seat. So, slot that on
Fantastic!
and move it along as he's tending to his veg. So
And it'll go on there, it'll go fit in there. Do you think David will let me borrow it for a little bit?
I think you could use that for
Me knees are struggling. Look at that.
There you go.
Oh,
Simple but
that's
effective.
very clever.
The barrel chairs are taking shape.
What's going on here then?
Well, we're just creating the actual bit you sit on, because otherwise that wouldn't be
these
so
seats. And
No.
you've made it for old people like me, nice and high.
good. Yeah, sit down.
Oh, look at that. I'm not sitting right back.
No, go on.
That's just right, that is.
Yeah?
Yeah, easy to get up, and you've got
Good
that
perch.
to push up. Oh, fantastic.
All that's left to do is make the seats for their quirky pews.
Well, the moment of truth. Got to see if it fits. Hopefully. Lovely.
Well, it fits.
Oh, I'm very pleased with that.
Well, I think one of us has to give it a good old sit down.
You do it.
Oh, okay.
You've done most of the cutting.
Oh! Oh,
What drink
wow.
would you like? Would it whiskey?
Yeah, whiskey.
Single malt?
I couldn't have gin and tonic, could I? It'd be blasphemy.
With the work on the paths almost complete, that's it for the hard landscaping. Time for some structural plants.
I think one needs to come this way a bit more. Yeah, that's really nice. Gives it a nice bit of room there, doesn't it? Maybe bring that one that way. Nice. This area of the garden is all about being private. Also, it needs to be shaded as well. And the reason it's going to feel so nice is because it's surrounded by these trees. Now, we're using Amelanchier. Now, Amelanchier are beautiful. They pack so much interest into the seasons. So early on in the year, we have the flower. The leaves actually turn from a red to a green, going into summer, which is really cool. Then later on in the season, you get the berries, which would be beautiful for the birds. They'll all be in here, which would be wonderful. And then, obviously, you get the autumn colour. So not only are they providing privacy and shade, but they're also giving David and Joyce loads of interest throughout the year.
The Rich brothers spent nearly £200 on 3 large Amelanchier.
Dave loves making chutneys and jams, so we wanted to plant this plum. And it's great because it's one of the few that you can eat fresh and cook with. It's not going to grow too large. You're looking at about 2 to 3 metres, but it's a self-pollinator, so it's going to be great for a small garden. And what I love about it is that it's got a gorgeous open structure, and it has a lovely blossom in spring. So for a fruit tree, it's really great.
Now, it's not only the Amelanchier and the plum that are enclosing this seating area. We're also planting privet in the form of a hedge. And what that's doing is it's just creating a lovely green boundary to the cottage seating space. Now, also, this is going to be fantastic for birds visiting the garden. I'm sure they'll arrive because of the berries on the Amelanchier, but they can use this evergreen privet for nesting. Also, as a little bit of protection, they can pop onto the hedge, have a look over at the veggies, see if any pests are there, have a nibble, pop back into the hedge, check the coast is clear, and then fly off elsewhere.
And having great fun. Doing the veg, nice easy planting, lovely plants. I turned this into the bean bed. We've got runner beans, and these ones are a little different. Again, it's heritage seeds, but these runner beans have white flowers. They're normally red, the flowers, but runner beans are fantastic because they produce loads and loads of runner beans. But the other beans that we're planting is borlotti beans, you know, those ones that you dry to go in casseroles and bean salads. So they've got the seed pods. You grow them, unlike your runner beans that you pick when they're green, with the borlotti beans, you leave them on the plant until they go totally dry, and then you collect them, dry them right out, and then store them.
Now all that's left to do in the veg plot is to water it.
The sweet corn wants a shower. This will make it rain, won't it?
Time to get cracking with Joyce's flowers.
It's all happening. That blue of the lavender with the grey of the paving looks fantastic. They're roses! Harry!
I love roses.
Look how blousy they are! Oh my goodness!
They go so well with you, mate. Look at that.
They are stunning, aren't they?
Oh, just on the scent. Did you get that waft of the... Oh, yum. That just...
That is cool. Wow, that's
Yum, yum,
beautiful.
yum. Oh, she's gonna love that.
Now, we wanted to create a very romantic, quite English planting bed. I think roses, lavender and achillea all pop to mind. We've kept the colours quite muted. There's soft pinks, there's whites with a hint of purple running through. Now, the rose is boscobel, which is a upright shrub rose. It just has the most beautiful fragrance. We've got the lavender, which will kick up a gorgeous scent as well. Also, the achillea, that soft pink, is actually called Tutti Frutti. And it's about colour combinations and how they fit together. So it's simple, it's very delicate, and I think Joyce is going to love it.
Now, we created the pocket in this patio earlier just to create a bit more of a relaxed cottage vibe. I almost feel like they've self-seeded and sprung out in random little parts of the garden. Now, one of the plants that we've been putting here is lavender hidcup. Really beautiful variety. But the main reason we've chosen it for here is because it's slightly more compact. It won't spill out as much. It's going to be great for bringing in the pollinators. And that is also going to be fantastic for the veggies as well. Now, the other plant that we're going to be putting in as well is Lady's Mantle, iconically cottage. Has a gorgeous haze of lime green. So they'll give Joyce loads of pleasure for very little maintenance.
The final touches are being added to the garden. The bench for David's allotment area goes in.
Look at that.
Does it fit?
If my measurements are right, it should fit like a glove on a chicken's lip.
As do the whiskey barrel chairs and table, and the garden is finished.
I think David is just going to be so chuffed.
I am.
Not you lemon.
Oh.
Well, hopefully they both have something now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Joyce is going to sit there, watch David. What's your
Wonderful.
favourite bit?
I think just seeing all the veg beds planted up, I think
Yeah.
it's just, it makes the garden feel like it's being used already.
And I think all the perching seats. I mean, you've got seats there, you've got
Where
that
was that?
seat
Where's
there,
that seat?
and then you've got
Where's
that
yours?
simple seat that works so well.
Just so much more usable now, isn't it? You think of all the slopes and all the narrow pathways beforehand.
easy to walk on,
I think there's enough cottage character in there, but it's a nice usable space as well, isn't
and
it?
nice and private and quiet.
Yeah.
Well done, boys.
When the team arrived, this plot was more of an allotment than a tranquil garden. After a £3,000 makeover, it's been transformed. Now half relaxing cottage garden and half veg plot. With 3 easy-to-maintain raised beds packed with veg. Wider paths with better access. Multiple seating areas. And a stunning courtyard surrounded by dappled shade and traditional style English planting. It's time to reveal the new garden to David and Joyce.
Well, open your eyes.
Oh, cracky.
Oh gosh, that's gorgeous. Look at the veg, everything. Hey, that's amazing. Absolutely
And you can sit down there.
amazing. It's like having my own little garden from Chelsea.
Oh,
In my garden.
lovely. It is. Well, everything in here, David, they're all heritage vegetables.
Right.
So everything is quite unique.
We've got some borlotti beans. We've got some runners with white flowers. We've got small cucumbers, some carrots, and some spinach on the end.
Lovely.
So that's that bed.
David's itching to get to those plants. I knew he would be. And they're all a bit different, you know. He knows what he's doing when it comes to veg.
Is that purple carrot? What's
Red cabbage.
Red cabbage.
Nice, there we
red
are.
Cabbage.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
And also with a little bench here, so that you can take that around with you.
Oh, right, yeah.
Position where you want to do any work.
Oh, that's good, dude.
That little movable seat, so easy to use and so practical.
Oh, it's absolutely
Oh, it's incredible.
great. It's incredible.
And then down here then, so because of the way we laid out the veg beds, utilising the corner, it's just opened up this space here. So we've got the sweet corn and stuff in the corners, we've got a pumpkin there that's climbing.
But that's nicely taken right into the corner, so you're not wasting space as
Exactly.
well. Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
thought, that's the fruit picker's bench.
Yes, yes.
And
You have to
that's
try it
all.
out and see what you think.
Yeah. And it's got a back on for our
No, yeah,
backs.
exactly.
You can watch David everywhere now.
It's brilliant.
Wonderful. Well, Joyce, you're being very patient on David's side. Should we go and have a look at your side?
So we've tried to keep the planting nice and natural.
Oh,
So
I
we've got
love-
some roses
I love
and
You
lavender.
love lavender and you
And I
love
love
roses.
roses, yes. I kept
you're
saying
right.
to him, I want some roses. I
we
want
are.
some roses. And I keep hinting.
Oh, there we are. we got the hint. We got the hint.
We've also got the amelanchias here. So a lovely tree. They've got loads of characters. So they've got flowers on in the spring, obviously gorgeous green foliage, and then
Yeah.
berries as well. They'll
Oh,
draw in the
lovely.
birds,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. And then down into this area. So beforehand you had nowhere to sit, nowhere
Nowhere
to
to
come.
sit, no.
And then not even that, but it was also baked in sun. So
Yeah.
here you've got a nice flat, an open, levelled space, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, it's brilliant. I love this.
And you see those steps up there?
Yeah.
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 They're wide
Oh,
enough
yeah.
for you, they're big enough for you, those.
That's right.
Did you feel like the garden's a lot bigger, or...?
Yeah, I do, yes.
It looks incredibly.
I can't believe how much...
It looks about twice the size. I know it isn't, but it does look about twice the size. I'm going to have to sit down.
I love the barrel idea, because it's a real ale, man.
Seats with backs, nice and high, somewhere to put your feet up. I'm a happy bunny, and I'm sure Joyce and David will be very happy sat like that.
Do you feel like the garden has given you everything that you wanted from it?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Definitely.
Nice. Yeah.
And some unexpected things as well.
Yeah.
And Joyce, we understand it's your birthday today.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, we have not only the bottle of bubbly there, but we also have a little surprise for you. Come in, everyone. Come in.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joyce. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you.
You can tell gardens and that. You can see their fingerprints, can't you?
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you ever so much.
Oh. Hey! How romantic.
Joyce, David, here's to your new garden. So cheers.
Thank you very much.
Happy memories.
Yes. The garden is absolutely brilliant. You know, it'll be so much easier for David, and that's really what I wanted. And of course, I've got somewhere to sit now. They can be in the shade, and it's so much more than I ever expected.
It's really good, really good.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
It's absolutely.
Hello.